Hey everyone. See some folks still trickling in from all over the world. Thank you all so much for joining us today. This webinar is Enhance Your Marketing with MailChimp's new Campaign Manager. Today, we'll show you how Campaign Manager can help you strategically plan and accomplish your marketing goals. My name is Cody, and today I'm joined by the wonderful Christy McCarley. Christy is the founder and CEO of Pure Firefly, a leading MailChimp Pro partner agency serving small businesses and nonprofits. We'll also have Caroline Ramirez, a senior product manager here at MailChimp, joining us for questions in the later part of the webinar. So let's take a look at today's agenda. First, we'll explain what Campaign Manager is. Then we'll get to know a few key terms. And after that, we'll create a campaign, add touch points, and do a brief intro of webhooks. Lastly, we'll check out a cross-campaign report before we host a question and answer session covering all of today's topics. Just a reminder, if you're in need of technical assistance at any time, you can visit our website at mailchimp.com/help. And if you want help putting Campaign Manager to use, we have a great partner program with experts like Christy. You can find out more at mailchimp.com/experts.
Thanks, Cody. Let's start by answering the question that's on everyone's mind. What is Campaign Manager? It's an end-to-end tool that helps you plan, execute, and analyze multi-channel marketing campaigns, all in one place. Through an interactive calendar view, you can visualize your marketing efforts and connect them to a single objective. And with real-time cross-campaign analytics, you'll have a clearer view of what's working. Before we move on, I want you to know that this is a paid feature, available on standard plans or higher. If you have questions about which features are included in your plan, visit MailChimp's pricing page or the Help Center. Now we'll define some important terms you'll see as we explore Campaign Manager. One of those terms, obviously enough, is campaign. In Campaign Manager, it's a marketing effort that coordinates email, ads, and other channels to achieve a business goal.
And after you create a campaign, you can add touch points, which are scheduled activities within your Campaign Manager calendar. The touch points you'll see are email, webhooks, events, and tasks. Everyone's familiar with email, of course. As usual, you can send these to your entire audience or target your tagged or segmented subscribers. You can also view emails you've created in Campaign Manager on the All Campaigns page. If you want to sync MailChimp activity with a third-party app, a webhook could be a good way to go. Webhooks let MailChimp request an external app to take a specific action, like send a text message. And maybe you want to send a text to promote an event. This touch point is any marketing event. Could be a product launch or even a webinar. Just name your event, select the event type, set the date and time, and include some notes.
Those notes could act as a reminder to check on a task. A task is anything you have to get done. It could be a simple reminder to schedule a call or something more involved like analyzing a report. And that sets us up nicely to talk about cross-campaign reporting. It can be a challenge to track different messages with different metrics through different channels. In Campaign Manager, tracking settings apply to all messages across a campaign, which leads to more accurate reporting.
Absolutely, super helpful. So to put all of our terms together, a campaign is made up of touch points like email that work together to achieve a unified business objective. And cross-campaign reporting gives you a snapshot of your campaign's overall performance. We'll be putting all of this into practice in just a bit. If at any point you feel you've missed something, don't worry. We'll be sending out a link so you can access this webinar on demand.
And on that note, let's go over our plan for today's campaign. We want to advertise a sale for the Potted Planner, a fictional brand we use for educational purposes. For our campaign, we'll add a task to set a deadline for building an email. Next, we'll briefly go over adding and designing an email. And finally, we'll end with a look at a sample report.
Absolutely. Just getting into the app real quick. Here we are. Ready? let's jump right in. So we're going to head to the campaigns section in the navigation menu and click on Campaign Manager from the dropdown. Here on Campaign Manager's homepage, the current month's campaigns are shown on the calendar by default. To review a previous campaign or see what's coming up, we can use the arrows to move through the months. We could click on any of these campaigns to make edits or review performance. But we're starting fresh today, so we'll click the big Create Campaign button right here. There we go. Excellent. So first, we'll name the campaign Fern and Earn. A little playful name for y'all. And choose an audience from the dropdown right here. For those who may not know, ferns are a common type of plant, so this is just a fun play on rhyming words for our upcoming campaign. So we'll go with the potted planter audience that's connected to our e-commerce store. Next, we'll set the objective to advertise a sale or promotion. Excellent. And then we're going to enter a time frame. Here we go. And right here. Excellent. And review our email tracking preferences. Remember, these tracking settings apply to all messages across the campaign. And thanks to e-commerce tracking, you can view purchase details, conversions, and total sales in your campaign report. Our initial setup is looking good. So after we make it through the tracking checkboxes, we'll click Create Campaign. And this takes us to the Manage Campaign page. Here, we'll organize activities that'll help us reach our goals. We're using the calendar view, but if we wanted to manage our touch points through a list, we could switch to the agenda view on this tab. Excellent. Now let's return to the calendar view to begin planning. Here we go.
First, we'll need to set a deadline for building an email. So let's add a touch point. Here are two ways to do this. We can use the main Add Touchpoint drop-down menu, or click the plus sign on a date within our campaign's time frame. Let's stick to the calendar and click the plus sign here. In the pop-up, we can choose to add an email, a task, or an event. These events can be a variety of things. For example, gatherings, in-person or virtual, or trade shows and product launches. Moving on, we also see advanced capabilities like webhooks. Whether sending a text via SMS or passing data from a survey to your CRM, webhooks offer plenty of options for syncing MailChimp activities with third-party apps. We'll build an email today, but for more info on using webhooks with MailChimp, visit the Help Center.
Absolutely. So tasks are always a good place to start. I like to think of a task as the getting things done touch point, and we'll use it to set a deadline for building our email. So we'll click Task and call it Build Email 1. And then we'll choose a date. Excellent. And then set the status to In Progress right here. And finally, click Save. So Build Email 1 now appears in the To-Do section. This is where you'll see incomplete tasks and emails that are still in the draft stage. To-do lists are campaign specific, so we won't see our task on a list in another campaign. And I love checking things off my list, so let's jump on building our email. To start, we'll take a look at the Send Day Optimization panel. This function uses data from your industry and MailChimp to predict the best days to send an email. You can change your industry on the details page of your account settings. Okay, so let's toggle on to enable Send Day Optimization. Here we go. Looking at the calendar, we see there are dates labeled good, better, and best. So naturally, we want to send our email on one of the best days. So we'll click the plus sign on a best day. And in the pop-up, click the email touch point. Awesome. So we've moved to the email overview page. Here's where we'll enter the internal name, and let's name it Fern Sale. And then click Continue. There we go. Next. Next, we'll set the from name and address. These are the Potted Planter and Amelia at pottedplanter.com. And now we'll click on the To section. And in the drop down for segment or tag, we'll choose all subscribers and audience. Excellent. And then in the next section, we'll write "Want a new fern" for the subject. Excellent. And go with "We have a sale you'll love" for the preview text. Got to capitalize. There we go. Awesome. This is all looking pretty good. So we'll go to send time and click edit.
Let's take a closer look at scheduling. Here we can apply the send time optimization, which uses data science to assess when your contacts are most likely to engage. Next, we'll click continue to return to the overview page. To conclude our setup, we could edit the email's URL and customize tracking for Google. We'll leave those settings as is for now and touch briefly on designing an email. If you're looking for inspiration, MailChimp's Creative Assistant is an AI tool that uses your branding to generate designs. Of course, you can also choose from the pre-built templates or use an email you've used in the past. We're all set for now, so we'll click Save and Close, and it's a success. Our email is displayed as a draft on the calendar, and if we want to make changes, we just click the email touchpoint and select Edit. It may take more than one task to complete a campaign, so when we're ready for the next step, we can click Build Email 1 and choose Duplicate in the dropdown. Following that, we'll rename the task Build Email 2 and update the status to Not Started. Then we can drag our new tasks to any date within the campaign's duration.
Yep, so helpful to duplicate. And great, our plan is off to a good start. Once the campaign launches, reporting will play a key role in steering its success. This campaign hasn't sent out any messages, so to review a complete report, let's head back over to the Campaign Manager's homepage right here. Awesome. We can toggle to the campaign's list view to find a campaign through the search. Or we can use the drop-downs that precede the list to filter campaigns by audience, a status like active or concluded, or sort from newest to oldest. We have a growing list of campaigns, so we'll search for 2-week ad campaign. Oh, there it is. Excellent. We'll click the drop-down by View Report and see we have the options to view or duplicate this campaign. As I said, I like being able to duplicate a campaign because if I want to run a similar one, I don't have to do the step-by-step setup completely from scratch. Anyway, let's see how this campaign performed by clicking View Report. Awesome. Here's where we can gain insight into a campaign's overall performance. First, we can set our date range. This could be from the start of the campaign to the end, or we could adjust the dates to a shorter period. For instance, you might want to measure the effectiveness of an experiment that only ran for a few days. And once our date range is set, we're able to compare our current performance metrics to audience averages or to the previous days in the campaign. And if we click Edit, we can customize our metrics right here. Yes. These include e-commerce metrics like average order revenue.
Heading to the engagement section, we can use the drop-downs to compare metrics like total opens and click rate. After we make our selections, the graph will display our chosen metrics. If you want to share your engagement report, just click Export to download it as a CSV file. Reports are also available for individual messages. We want to check out the report for the Potted Planner sale email. So in the Sent section, we'll click View Report. Here we'll get a glimpse of the email's main highlights. We can also jump to a particular part of the report by clicking on the options like Click Performance. Let's return to the full report by clicking Overview. Then we'll scroll to Predicted Demographics. This feature uses MailChimp account info from around the world to predict the age and gender of your contacts. In the future, this data could be useful for segmenting your campaigns.
Absolutely. And we won't go over the rest of the report in too much detail, but you're going to see sections for 24-hour performance, top links clicked, subscribers with most opens, social performance, and top locations by opens. And that's about it for this walkthrough. Thanks for hanging in there. We'll now recap some key takeaways before getting into the Q&A. So, how could Campaign Manager benefit your business?
Well, it can help you visualize and strategically plan multi-channel campaigns. Planning in advance helps to steer your efforts through a central objective. It's also a way to reinforce deadlines so that the work gets done.
Plus, you can execute your campaigns in the same place where you plan and analyze. Whether you're building an email or creating webhooks, you don't have to switch to another tool. And you'll be able to see where your messages fit into the greater campaign.
After your campaign launches, you can make adjustments based on real-time analytics. Cross-campaign reporting can show you what's working now, and you can use those tool insights to quickly pivot. After all, you'll have a clear view of your campaign's performance as a whole.
Absolutely. And now we're ready to start taking on your questions. Caroline Ramirez, a product manager here at MailChimp, is going to be joining us momentarily. And I see her popping in right now. Hey, Caroline, how's it going?
Hey, Cody. Hey, Christy. It's going well. How are you guys?
Hey, Caroline.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks. So my name is Caroline Ramirez. I am based out of Santa Barbara, California, where I've lived for over a decade now. I'm a product manager here at MailChimp, which means that I partner with a cross-functional team that includes design, research, engineering to bring new features to life in MailChimp. And I'm so excited to take your questions about Campaign Manager today.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's take a dive right in. All right. So I see a question from Minnie Shingleton. Is social media a touch point in Campaign Manager?
Great question. So right now, the way that you can schedule social media posts through Campaign Manager is via webhooks. And you'll find the information on how to do this from API documentation you can find from the social platform that you're looking to connect to. We do plan on adding social media as a touch point to Campaign Manager in the future. So be sure to be on the lookout for that.
That's so nice that we have a way to make that connection in the meantime, though. That's awesome. The webhooks can allow that.
Yeah, exactly. Webhooks are a really flexible feature with a lot of different use cases. You can send Slack messages via webhooks. You can update CRM with webhooks, send SMS messages. So many flexible use cases there. And I know that there's also a webinar on webhooks happening next week for people who want more info.
Yeah, that's right. Next Thursday, Christy and I will return with some webhooks intel for y'all. So please join us again for that. But let's see. We have another question coming in from Anthony Cheney. For SMS webhooks, do you have to create a MailChimp store? We're a nonprofit, and we're a nonprofit that puts on events and fundraisers, but don't sell actual wares or services. Good question.
Got it. So the answer to this is no, you don't need to have a MailChimp store in order to use webhooks to send SMS messages via Campaign Manager or Customer Journey Builder for that matter. The only requirement here is that you do need to have a connection or an account with an SMS provider in order to leverage webhooks. So there are many different SMS providers out there. And again, in order to figure out how to send webhooks via Campaign Manager to your SMS provider, we would recommend that you look to the API documentation from that SMS provider.
Awesome. Okay, and we have another question from Abby. Can you A/B test in Campaign Manager?
I love this question. This is definitely something that is on our roadmap. We've been hearing for this new feature enhancement since we launched Campaign Manager. So A/B testing and multivariate testing is absolutely something that we're looking to add to the features of Campaign Manager in the future.
Awesome. Okay, moving right along from Chantel. Can you use emails created outside of the Campaign Manager in the Campaign Manager?
Got it. So while you can view emails that you've created within Campaign Manager in the All Campaigns tab under Campaigns, and also in the Reports tab under the Analytics page, you will not currently be able to add an email that you've created outside of Campaign Manager into a campaign within Campaign Manager. So again, we understand that this is something that would save a lot of time for our customers who already have emails created outside of Campaign Manager and feel that they would be a good addition to an upcoming campaign. So this is something that we're also looking into. I would say the best workaround for this for now is to save one of the emails that you've created outside of Campaign Manager as a template, either in the classic email editor or in our new email editor. Save that as a template so that when you go into Campaign Manager and you create your email, you can find that template under Save Templates and reuse that content. From there, you will just have to re-enter information in what we call the email checklist. So the audience that you're sending to, including segments and tags, the subject line and preview text, you will have to re-enter that information. But as long as you have your template and your content and design of your email saved, it should save you some time there.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And for send campaigns, I forget if you mentioned this specifically, Caroline, you can replicate to save those as templates too. So super helpful.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. And then from New York, we have a question from Dimitri. Is this for paid accounts?
Yes, this is currently a paid feature. So any customers who have a standard plan, a premium plan, or one of our legacy plans with the Pro add-on, you will be able to access Campaign Manager right away, create a campaign, and start using it. There are no limitations on the number of campaigns and touch points you can create within those. But if you are not on one of those 3 plans mentioned, you will have to upgrade in order to start creating your campaigns.
Gotcha. Good to know. All right. A similar question from one we had earlier coming from Sarah Whitmore. Will we need to have a store connected to best utilize this, i.e. my company doesn't sell items or utilize e-commerce? Uses within MailChimp, we send email updates for event times and statuses, etc.
Great question. This is not necessarily a feature that is only specific to e-commerce customers. So regardless of your business type, I think you will find Campaign Manager useful to you if campaign planning and planning out more strategic marketing campaigns is something that you're interested in. I know we went over some of the reporting earlier, and we did focus on some of those e-commerce metrics like revenue, orders, average order revenue, which is great. But if that's not something that is of interest to you or not one of your key KPIs that you're tracking, you can customize those metrics that we saw in reporting to whatever is most important to you. So maybe you're more focused on click rate, unsubscribes, open rate, whatever it might be, you can customize the metrics in Campaign Manager to be most relevant to you.
Cool. And Rachel asks, how does this integrate with journeys? I'm assuming that's the customer journey builder in this case.
So this is a great question. I love this one because I love the customer journey builder. It's such a great feature that we have. So right now, Campaign Manager and Customer Journey Builder, I would say, are very complementary products to each other. You cannot currently create or start a journey from Campaign Manager and have it reflected on your calendar view or your agenda view, for example. But we are looking into ways to even further integrate those 2 great features, because I have a feeling that our customers who like Customer Journey Builder and use it frequently will also be a fan of Campaign Manager. Even though they're used for different use cases, they're very complementary features. And so be on the lookout again for ways that we're going to start having those 2 features work better together.
Awesome. And I like this next question a lot. It seems like a cool use case we could talk about Campaign Manager with. Laura asks, does the Campaign Manager work for general weekly newsletters for schools?
Great question. I would personally say yes. Why not? Have at it. I don't know if Christy, if you have any insights into this as the expert campaign planner here.
I think it could work fine for schools or nonprofits. There are a number of uses. I think in working with our clients, we work with a lot of nonprofits and some educational institutions. There's so many times where we have events and tasks happening at the same time as an email campaign. So I think if you think about it out, maybe just broaden what else has to get done that week or that you may be trying to communicate outside of just the newsletter, then you'll start to see a lot of opportunities to use this from a more holistic perspective. And it's a lot easier to track everything in that one place. So yeah, I think it could be great for schools and other organizations.
Yeah, agreed. I think of Campaign Manager really as an advanced planning tool and something to keep you organized and on track for success. So really whatever use case you have where you're planning out a marketing campaign that has multiple touch points, maybe multiple emails that all lead up to the same business objective, Campaign Manager will be a great tool for you. Again, it's really beneficial if you want to see aggregated reporting for multiple emails being sent out across one campaign. If you want to measure success of one campaign that's run this year, let's say like a Black Friday campaign compared to how last year's Black Friday campaign performed, it's a really great way to organize those specific business objectives into one holistic view.
Totally. And I could imagine, this is just me spitballing, but for a school, if you had certain newsletters that corresponded with games like a football game or a basketball game or dances or something, you could create tasks and events based on when you need to get those messages out as one campaign. So that seems like a pretty cool use case.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, let's see this next question by Elizabeth. Will the campaign manager have the capability to integrate with Smartsheet?
Oh, Smartsheets. That's a great question. So I will have to look into this. I believe webhooks could potentially be a way to integrate with Smartsheets, or at least to request that Smartsheets take an action from Campaign Manager. So that is one way. In terms of an end-to-end integration where potentially there's a back and forth flow from Smartsheets into Campaign Manager and vice versa, that's something that we can look into in the future. But for now, I would say start with webhooks, see if that meets your use case. And then if not, I also want to plug that we have a feedback about Campaign Manager button that you'll find within the app. So if you go into Campaign Manager, it's always on. Go ahead and click on that feedback survey and feel free to give us any feedback, requests for different features, anything that you think that we would benefit from that would benefit you to add to Campaign Manager, add it on in there. So I'm curious to hear how that goes with Smartsheet. So let us know.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. Okay, Sandy Linder asks, are MailChimp's webhooks similar to a lead magnet? I'm unclear on where the webhook lead magnet lives on the site to be attached to the email or send. I'm not really familiar with lead magnets myself, but I don't know if...
Yeah, I couldn't say that I'm an expert on lead magnets, but I can try to give a little bit of information about webhooks so that hopefully answers your question. And of course, there will be more information about webhooks and we'll get into the specifics next week. So be on the lookout for that if you have more questions. But in general, you can think of webhooks as a request to another application to take an action or do something on your behalf. So when you're within MailChimp and you want to, for example, send an SMS message via your SMS provider, if you want to send a message in Slack, if you want to post something to social media, you can be within Campaign Manager or Customer Journey Builder, which is another place in MailChimp where webhooks live today. And you can create a webhook that will send a request out to that third party to take that action on your behalf. So I'm not sure if that answers your question about lead magnets, but hopefully that gives you a little bit more clarity on how to leverage webhooks.
Awesome. And Christy, we have a general question about the Partners Program. Could you tell us just a little bit about it and your experience with it?
Yeah, so I own an agency called Pure Firefly that's based here in Atlanta. We are pro partners, MailChimp Pro Partners, which means that we're part of MailChimp's partner program called MailChimp & Co. We've been in the program for a little over 2 years, I believe, if I got my dates right. And it's an awesome program. I highly encourage MailChimp certified professionals to join. We've been able to work with MailChimp on a couple different events, and there's a great community within the MailChimp & Co. community, made a lot of friends from around the world, and very collaborative. So it's something I'm really proud to be part of, and I highly encourage any freelancers or agencies who are interested to join.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are interested, that's at MailChimp.com/experts. And next we have a question from Taylor Aiken. Great question. What makes the campaign manager reports different from the regular reporting area?
Got it. So the campaign manager reports, one of the key benefits of using campaign manager is to aggregate multiple emails in one place. And this also includes aggregated reporting. So if you've ever gone through the process of sending out, let's say, 6 emails that are all tied to your Valentine's Day campaign, for example, and you have to manually calculate what was the average click rate for all of those emails that were sent out for Valentine's Day, what was the total sum of revenue generated from those 6 emails for Valentine's Day. Campaign Manager takes that heavy lifting off your plate and does it for you automatically. So any emails that you create within a singular campaign within Campaign Manager, we will provide you with aggregated reporting for all emails sent within that campaign, so you don't have to do it manually. So that's one of the key benefits of reporting within Campaign Manager, but you're also not missing out on the reporting that you're used to for individual emails that are sent in Campaign Manager. So in addition to that aggregated reporting, and again, it's customizable based on the metrics that are most important to you, just click on those edit buttons and select different metrics. You can look at that aggregated reporting, but then if you want to dive a little bit deeper into how an individual email in your campaign performed, you can always look at that as well. So in the reporting page that we demoed a little bit earlier, you'll be able to see each individual email that was sent in your campaign. And if you click View Report, you'll be able to see the classic reporting that you're used to. That includes things like predicted demographics or content optimizer. Assuming you're on a plan that shows those different features, you'll be able to see all of that for emails sent within Campaign Manager.
Awesome. Awesome. And a quick reminder to everybody on the webinar, we're receiving a lot of questions and we're going to try to answer as many as we can. Remember to use the Q&A tab to send those questions so that we can get to them properly. And with that, we have a question from Elena. Do webhooks work with LinkedIn? I don't know.
I don't see why they wouldn't. Again, webhooks are extremely flexible. If there is an API that you can call to request LinkedIn to do something, webhooks would make that possible. So while I don't have specifics off the top of my head, that's certainly something that we can look into. And I would imagine the answer is yes, as long as there is an API that we can call to connect to LinkedIn. I'm also very curious what the use case would be for that, but maybe that's we'll get into later, but I love the idea.
Yeah, me too. Okay, Erica Cayley asks, or says rather, I'm just getting started with strategically planning campaigns for our business. Which of the 2 features would be better to start with, a Campaign Manager or Journey Builder?
That's great. I personally, and Christy, you might have some recommendations here, but I really think it depends on your goal. Customer Journey Builder is great for automating your marketing messages, and it's based off of an action that one of your customers takes. So you can think of a welcome email. If you want to start that for any customer who makes a purchase from you or signs up for your email list, you can automatically send them a welcome email. Or maybe you want to trigger an abandoned cart email. If someone put something in their shopping cart, but they haven't quite pulled the plug yet, you can go ahead and automatically send them an email to follow up to complete their purchase. So those are some of the use cases for Customer Journey Builder. Highly recommend that tool. It's really great for taking work off of your plate and freeing you up to do other things that you love. With Campaign Manager, I would say the use case here is more for strategically planning out your campaigns, like you mentioned. So if you know you have a Valentine's Day sale or promotion coming up and you want to make sure you stay on top of it and are sending out emails to help you reach your specific business objectives, I would say give Campaign Manager a try. Leverage the tasks and events to help you visualize everything you need to do to keep your campaign on track and make it successful. You can even start drafting your emails, even if you don't have the final content or know exactly what you want to put in those emails quite yet. You can start to map out your campaign using Campaign Manager, looking at the calendar view and visualizing your campaigns in that way. And as you get closer and closer to certain dates, you can finalize those emails, get them scheduled, and then finally view reporting to see how you performed.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would just add to that. I would lean more if you're just starting out with MailChimp and just starting trying to learn how to use the tool. I would lean a little more towards the Journey Builder, only because you can set up things very quickly without having, you don't, when you're using the Campaign Manager, you're going to need to think a little bit about strategy. Like, what are you trying to do? What are your tasks? What are events that are coming up? The welcome, and if you're sending campaigns, you want, if someone forwards that email or gets someone else to sign up for your list, you want them to get that instant welcome email back. So I would encourage you to set up a welcome email, a welcome journey right away. Just very simple, using a template. Doesn't take a lot of time, you don't even have to have a lot of strategy. And once you get that set up, then start thinking about how you can use the Campaign Manager.
Yeah, I agree with that. I also would definitely recommend, if you're just getting started, to check out the pre-built journeys within Customer Journey Builder. It's a great way to get started, get some ideas for what you might want to do with Customer Journey Builder.
Absolutely. Yeah, those pre-built journeys are great because they help you get started soon. And like you said, Caroline, provide inspiration for how you could use the tool other ways. Excellent. So from Christopher Pearson, can you please demonstrate or talk about how you would use the Campaign Manager to schedule a recent email to non-openers? What's the most efficient way to do that?
Got it. Yeah. So within Campaign Manager, the way that I would do this now would be to essentially, you will need to build a segment outside of Campaign Manager and use that later on when you're building your second email within Campaign Manager. So understandable that that's not a perfect solution. So I'll use this opportunity to let you all know that we are working on building and integrating a new segmentation builder within Campaign Manager to make that process much easier. So for now, the workaround would be to create that segment based on the specific criteria that you mentioned outside of Campaign Manager. And then when you come back in to build your second email, you would select that segment that you've created. But again, want to mention that we will be working on that feature. Again, it's in the works. And so we will make that process much easier moving forward.
Yeah, it's great to know that there's already these changes in the development that are going to be coming down the pipeline. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really exciting. There's so much more to come with Campaign Manager. And I love getting questions like this and getting feedback because it really does help us shape the direction of the product, because we love just hearing from customers, and making your lives easier is really what our job is about. So please keep the feedback and questions like this coming.
Totally. All right. Carol Wellman says, just for clarification, the campaign manager only works for emails created with the tool. Does the campaign manager act like a content calendar?
Yes. So first part of that question, the answer is yes. You will need to create emails within Campaign Manager in order for them to be aggregated within a campaign that you've created. And I would say yes. I would think that Campaign Manager can work just like a content calendar. I know, Christy, you create content calendars for your clients too. I don't know if you have any, tips or experience with how you've used content calendars in the past and how they compare with Campaign Manager that you want to share.
I think it's a great use, a great comparison. And I think it can actually be a little bit broader than a content calendar just because you can track the tasks. And I mean, sometimes you add tasks to a content calendar, but I think there are a few additional tools that you can use within the Campaign Manager, which actually will give it more, have it be more resourceful than you would be able to use for the standard content calendar. So the task tracking is awesome. And also the events, to see that all in one place is great.
Okay, so Tara asks, what are some great use cases we can use with a podcast with Campaign Manager? That's an interesting use case. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think I was going to say I just jump in, but with a podcast, similar to our production here, there's so much planning that goes into it. I mean, there are a lot of tasks that you have to outline, that you have, what is the topic going to be? Are you going to have a guest? Where are you going to shoot it, or where are you going to record it? Is it going to be video? Is it going to be audio? All those kinds of things. If you have an event, maybe if it's a promotional, maybe you're trying to promote an event and the podcast is part of that whole promotional plan. But all of that, in addition to the emails that you're sending out trying to promote the podcast, could be a great way to use Campaign Manager.
Love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could see where you could create campaigns specific to a series you're doing for the podcast, or if you have different seasons you want to create campaigns for. All right. Kevin Terry asks, how do you delete a campaign that's been canceled from Campaign Manager? And thank you.
Good question. So something, if you'll remember from the demo, when we first were looking at Campaign Manager, essentially the homepage of Campaign Manager, what you're going to be seeing there is this multi-campaign calendar view. So this is going to be the aggregate view of all campaigns and all touch points within those campaigns for a given month, that we can scroll back and scroll forward and see everything that was going on in those months. Right next to that calendar view, you're going to see a tab called Campaigns List. So in that Campaigns List view, it's a slight variation on what you're seeing in the multi-campaign calendar, in that you're going to see a list of all of your individual campaigns. So if you remember from the demo where Cody went to view a report, there's also a drop down there where you can duplicate or delete a campaign. So that's where you would go in order to delete a campaign that maybe you were testing things out and just playing around, and now you just don't want to have that on your calendar anymore. Go to that campaigns list view, click the drop down in that main button you'll see there, and you'll see the option to delete a campaign.
Excellent. And we got a similar question to the one Christopher asked earlier. John Johnson asks, hi, does the Campaign Manager have the capability to auto resend to recipients that didn't open an email?
Yeah, so very similar question. And this is something that has been coming up quite a bit for our customers who have been early adopters and power users of Campaign Manager. So right now, there isn't necessarily an easy way to do this, but because of this great feedback and the questions that we've been getting, it's definitely something that we're looking to prioritize because it makes a lot of sense. It's something that you can do within classic email creation with MailChimp, and it's super valuable and powerful. Either sending to non-openers or people who have opened an email and engaged, or maybe made a purchase from a specific email within a campaign. You want to follow up or re-engage with those users in potentially different ways with different content in your second email. So again, be on the lookout for that. That's something we'll look to incorporate within Campaign Manager.
Awesome. Ginny asks, is there a way to include previously sent email campaigns to Campaign Manager so that we can see a detailed report?
Another really good question. Right now, you can't add a previously sent email to a campaign. So this is also something that we've been hearing quite a bit, and I definitely understand the desire to have this. But for now, you can't add a previously sent email to a campaign. You'll need to create a new email within Campaign Manager. So if you had emails that, before we launched Campaign Manager that you feel would be a good fit to be part of a larger strategic marketing campaign, right now, you'll just have to move forward and create new emails for future campaigns. But again, something that we'll look into so that we can help everyone organize their previously sent emails into campaigns.
Excellent. And just a reminder to everybody on the webinar, there's a handout linked under the docs in Goldcast for more information in general. Joshua Gary Pickering asks, how does one become an MC certified professional?
I'm thinking there's in the Help Center, there's got to be a link for MailChimp & Co. On MailChimp.com, there's got to be a link for MailChimp & Co. And also becoming certified. So that I would say check the website or go straight to the Help Center, and there should be plenty of information.
Absolutely. I do think we have some docs on that there. Great call, Christy. Laura asks, will we have more improvements to the Campaign Builder soon? Any little advance?
Yes, there's a strong yes to that. We are working on improvements to Campaign Manager as we speak. I'm personally very excited about what's to come for Campaign Manager. There's so much opportunity there, so much we can do to improve Campaign Manager, including adding social as touch points, improving our webhooks capabilities, enhanced task management and program management capabilities within Campaign Manager. So really, this is just the beginning. And again, any feedback is welcome on how you would like to leverage Campaign Manager. Anything that you don't like or find, that is missing, let us know. Your input really does help shape the direction of the product. So yes, resounding yes to that. Many more improvements to come to Campaign Manager.
Absolutely. And one for you, Christy. How would you recommend using the Campaign Manager to your clients?
I think when I think of Campaign Manager, I'm thinking of a lot of clients we work with that are using so many different tools to track events and track campaigns and to-do lists. And so I think for anyone who has, is using a spreadsheet to track dates and then trying to marry that with, they're having one window open with the spreadsheet, and then they've got the MailChimp window tab open, and they're trying to, cross those things together. And then maybe they've got a piece of paper with the to-do list. I think those are ideal clients, whether you have a retail store or a nonprofit or a school, or, a little league, team. Then if you're using multiple tools to do this one thing and it's kind of driving you crazy, this is perfect for you.
Totally. All right. From Dashe, I believe I'm pronouncing that correct. Forgive me if I'm not. This information is great. Thank you. Does MailChimp have tutorials available? If so, where do they live? We do have tutorials available on our Help Center and on YouTube. We're definitely pumping those out as quickly as we can. So definitely check out our YouTube channel and our Help Center articles. Great question. And then another question, can we talk about SMS webhooks for Campaign Manager for a bit?
Yes, and just to follow up on the question about tutorials also, when you go to Campaign Manager for the first time and before you've created a campaign, we also have a tutorial video right there on that page, so feel free to check that out. There's also a few feature highlights on that page, and you can click through some of those links to find our knowledge articles and more information about how to leverage Campaign Manager that way.
Good call out.
But SMS webhooks, I'm really excited about this feature. I know that many marketers are using and leaning into SMS messages to promote various different use cases. So from the customers that I've talked to and the people who are leveraging SMS as part of their marketing suite, I would say typically the use cases for SMS messages would be to like VIP customers or loyalty customers, or maybe to notify customers about a limited time offer. So the marketers who leverage SMS messages are typically reserving those messages for really important information or sales or things that they know that those customers will want to know about right away. And it's a really good complement to your email marketing strategy. So SMS webhooks is a great way to incorporate that into your campaign if you're sending out emails to your customers to promote an upcoming event or promotion, maybe a new product launch, and maybe you have specific customers who are part of a loyalty group or VIP customers who've signed up to receive text messages from you. Leverage these webhooks to send additional messaging to them to support that overarching campaign goal. And I think you'll see a lot of really good results. Again, we have another webinar coming up where we'll dive deep into webhooks, the many different use cases for webhooks, including SMS messaging.
Absolutely. Great reminder. Next Thursday is when that webinar is happening for webhooks, so please tune into that. George asks, is there a free trial for the Campaign Manager for existing Essential customers?
Right now, we don't have a free trial. So if you are on an Essentials plan, when you go to Campaign Manager, you'll be able to see our tutorial video and more information about Campaign Manager and its benefits. But you will have to upgrade to a standard or a premium plan in order to start creating campaigns.
Gotcha. Awesome, y'all. Well, we're coming to a close right now. Unfortunately, we couldn't get to everybody's questions. So if you had some questions that didn't get directly answered, please feel free to reach out to our support team or access our help center. And if you enjoy this webinar, we also have a variety of other ones available to help you use MailChimp. Check out MailChimp.com/workshops for more information. And if you want more video content, check out our YouTube channel, as we mentioned before. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Such a joy to do this with y'all.
Thanks all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.